Welcome to the video about pictures which I colored in April. Let's start from Matchstick Mouse. I have here one lovely page. I think that here we have a group of tiny possums and probably Matchstick Mouse volunteered to babysit them. They are adorable and I wanted to show the tenderness of this picture by adding this pink sky. In Russell Hampson books, I did one page about Mr. Fogarty. This month, Mr. Fogarty was a gangster. Look at this fashionable group. I think that every one of them are quite adorable. I do love the lady, and I especially love how the artist shows this look from the lady at Mr. Fogarty. She's touching the mafia boss, but in the same time she's definitely checking on Mr. Fogarty. A very lovely idea here, and it was a lot of fun to do clothes for all the group, and I do love that finally Snail also has something to put on and to maintain the atmosphere and the style. Very nice. In steampunk, I did this magical apothecary shelves. Of course, when I looked at these adorable dragons, I knew that I wanted to color them. Every time I compare picture from the second part, picture from the first part, for now I prefer pictures in the first part where we have a lesser amount of black paint, but also I think that elements which have difference are more interesting in the first part. So all of my finished pictures, they are in the beginning of this book. I also enjoyed coloring this green cupboard. I definitely will be using this color combo in other books because I do love how this main green color looks together with yellow highlights. It makes this weathered look on some of the surfaces, and with a little bit of blue it makes everything a little bit more interesting. Rather than coloring just with greens, I added these two color accents, and I think that that's what made this picture more interesting. Repeated usage of blue everywhere and yellow everywhere. Well, I am very happy with this one. One of the good moments of April was that I colored not only with my regular sets of colored pencils, but I also used Derwent Inktense and I used watercolors. I did a couple of pictures in this Paris with Love, Urban Anna. The first one I love like so. I wasn't able to mix proper watercolors to recreate this warm gray color for the walls, and I don't know why I decided to use this shell pink for the stripes. So this one, it was fun to do, but I'm not very happy with the final result. The second one, I think that I managed to do much better. It's mostly watercolor, and I'm glad that I managed to do similar subtle color accents, like this beautiful violet, gray violet, lavender colors as a reflection in the glass, and then various shades of ochre, sienna, with a little bit of gray colors to show colors and shadows on the bricks and stones. So this one is more well balanced, and I tried to work with more diluted paints to get this delicate look. Actually, the original color palette is very lovely, I would say very elegant, very Paris style. So here I tried to recreate something similar. Next, I finally remembered that I have this Coloriage wild books. I have first and second books, and I own them for many years. I always loved that they are printed on thick paper, but I never knew how to color these tiny girls with naked bodies and with huge background. But now I decided that I want to color flowers with watercolors, and it was perfect match. Thick paper, variety of nice flowers. Even if I still struggle with this paper, I think that in April I managed to do 3 very decent works. Not everyone went well from the first attempt. For example, here I tried to use granulating watercolors, and I know that in order to show granulating property of the paints, you need to add a lot of water so pigment can freely flow. But if I used a lot of water with the pigment, everything looked very washed out. So for my other works, I tried to use much more concentrated watercolor to achieve look which I needed. So this one, it was not very successful attempt, but the rest of pictures I love much more. I decided that on each of the pages I can do this soft background. Sometimes I color everything from the edge to the edge. Sometimes I do this more soft halo around the girl. So far I did 2 pictures with polychromos, 1 picture with Prismacolors. Well, I think that Prismacolors, they require a blender or a burnisher to have a very soft finish. When I work without blender, I can achieve only grainy look, especially it's visible on the skin. But if you use either a blender or very creamy pencil on top, then Prismacolors of course work quite okay. With this one I was quite proud that I did all flowers and all leaves just with watercolor. Only the frog and the girl's face were made with pencils. I'm not sure that I'm ready to color such faces without many visible shadows, without structure, with watercolors. For now I'm happy just with pencils, and I mostly concentrate on practical botanical elements. So that's page with green-blue background. The next one I decided to do with pink ultramarine for the background because it created good contrast to the sunflowers and to periwinkle. Again, sunflowers, periwinkle, it's all watercolors, and I selected it because I wanted to do sunflowers with various shades of yellow and orange. I think that I managed to do it. It's difficult to decide which one is my favorite. Sometimes I think that this one, or sometimes I think maybe this one, because this I recreated from the second attempt. When I did very pale washed out background, I wasn't sure do I want to proceed, but then I decided to use the fact that we have actually 2 copies of each of the pictures. So I did this datura, not sure in correct name, but those huge flowers together with hummingbird. I immediately knew that some of the colors from hummingbird feathers, like this vibrant cobalt blue or lilac, I also want to use as color accents on leaves, on the background, and even on the girl. For the girl I had to add this ribbon, and I think that it was a nice touch. That's mix of polychromos mostly, but in the end I blended everything with probably Caran d'Ache or maybe Derwent drawing, so very creamy pencil to get better blending. Without it I can't get nice and smooth skin. So I am quite pleased with myself. It's interesting to color without caring much about the image when you know that you have the second copy and you can restart. I will try to do more pictures here, experimenting with different color combos for the background to create good contrast for flowers. So I hope that in May I also will do something in this book, or maybe I will also start my Coloriage Wild. I have only 2 books, but for me, for now, it's totally enough. I'm glad that I finally started to color with them, because they were waited for such a long time. Shame on me. Another page which I did partly with watercolors, partly with regular pencils. It was in Lady Spring, and I finished the whole part of this book, designed by Anna Marcinska. In the first days of April, I finished this anemone. It's watercolor background and then polychromos pencils. In the end, I sprinkled everything with golden watercolor. I think that it added some magical, shining magical touch to the whole page. Maybe let me quickly show you the whole part. Anna Marcinska. That was my first page in the book immediately after I received it. Anemone, tulip, which I did in March. This one I did for previous Easter, because here we have the Easter flower or Pasch flower. And another work which I really love. I do love this background. Now, let's switch to totally different style. Here I have Nelko Neko. Okay, I adjusted my camera. And I did second picture here. I think that it was work of February or work of March, probably February. Doesn't matter, because 2 pictures, they are not connected. I just noticed how beautiful is this dress, and I always remember that I want to color it. I also wanted to do this pirate, but decided that first I will finish this one. I love this steampunk style dresses with a lot of layers of fabric, with mix of silk or other fabrics together with leather. So it was really fun to color. Of course, it's not the best part of the process when you have to do the background with pencils. I decided here that because I don't need complicated shading on the background, I can use pencils which have intense color but maybe don't blend quite well, and it's Mitsubishi Uno. Even if they were recommended by the artist for coloring on this book, on this paper, I still struggle with them a lot. For such simple work where background is just mix of couple of very close colors, they are okay, but I can't imagine how I would do with them much more complicated work like I did on the fabric here or here. That's where I only can use Prisma colors. And I think that her skirt, that's the area which I absolutely love. I think that I will try to use a couple of these color combos more, because I think that it looks quite spectacular. Time for Teresa Goodrich. Something happens, and recently I struggle to do decent pictures here. It's like I can't think properly about all colors, and in the end I'm never 100% happy with my works. My least favorite work is here. Maybe because I loved this part of the original picture, but when I looked at those flowers, vases, maybe they look too simplified together with the stove. But at least the group beneath the umbrella I do love. So that's work number 1. It has a lovely vibe, but I start to think that maybe all my pictures, they are too colorful and I need to do them in more limited color palette. And in Small Town Charm I had better luck, and I have picture with chickens. For this one I have only one complaint to myself. You can see that it doesn't have enough depth. The foreground intensity of colors here, it's equal to the colors of the background. Every element of it was a joy to color. I loved this wooden chicken coop. I enjoyed doing birds, chickens, roosters. I actually love that they have family of 2 roosters and 1 chicken. But when I look at it now, I think that even if I knew this rule that the background has to be more pale and cold in colors, I just didn't manage to do it with Prismacolor pencils, with their vibrancy, with their intense colors. So this one is good, and I especially wanted to color those roosters because I love to do dark feathers with a little bit of green and blue as additional shining on feathers. But I need to think better and to try better to show actually depth if I color landscapes. Much better landscapes I managed to do in Leon's journey. I have here one picture which I did with watercolor background. I'm still not sure how I feel about watercolor on this paper. Maybe for smaller areas, but can't say that I mastered how to use it without creating stains. But the rest of it, especially this corner with Leon, with tulips and with crocus flowers, I think that I managed to do quite nice. Of course, color combo of pink, yellow and blue, it always look quite nice, but white flowers also look very refreshing. So I have no complaints about it, and probably for the first time I was 100% happy how I depicted Leon. All pencils, all colors were at place, and I think that it's my best attempt so far. Second landscape I love a little bit more. It's all done with pencils, so it took longer, but I felt more safe, especially because of the paper. I knew that watercolor doesn't bleed on this paper, so when I did this watercolor I wasn't afraid to have a bleeding through, but I still was slightly concerned about buckling, especially because on the back I have this lovely wreath with big empty background, so any bleeding through would be a catastrophe. Everything ended quite well, but it was nervous, honestly. This one, it's only pencils. What can I say? The most challenging part was to color shapes without creating a lot of dirt on them, but in the same time trying to show texture on them. And the most interesting part actually was to color those stones with basic gray color but with additional color accents. So I think that it's nice with nice spring vibe. I love to color flowers, you know, and here I think that I managed to show better this depth, more intense, rich colors on the foreground and background in much calmer, especially here colors. So here perspective is much better. I also did smaller pictures where I was limited in time, but when I still wanted to color something, so I have almost finished this one. I hope that in May I will do the final page. I'm not sure about the background, probably no. I think that maybe I will grab this color, which I already have similar here, and I can edit a little bit for the similar delicate background on these two pictures, and in such way it will unite all 4 elements. The central element I don't want to change. And I slowly continue to work on this page. I wanted to do Leon on pink background and I did it. Maybe next I will do Livre. In Symphony I have this page which I started somewhere in the middle of winter. Then I wasn't able that I did the right choices, so it took me some time to finish it, but in the end I am quite pleased with the result. Initially frame was more vibrant, now it looks more moderate in color, more limited, and I'm especially happy with these tiny miniature things. Actually, when I selected colors for this one, I was inspired by medieval mosaics from the Arabian architecture from Alhambra, beautiful castle in Granada in Spain, and those cobalt or teal turquoise colors together with gold and pomegranate. It's very popular color combos there, so I looked at my book about these castles and this style of architecture, and it was quite easy to select initial colors, but wasn't easy to distribute them for such a detailed page. In the end, I think that I managed to save it, and I'm very pleased that slowly I feel in this book. Of course, Leon's journey is my favorite, but I remember my promise that one day I will try to finish this book. Very quick and simple picture I did here. I honestly wanted to do a full-size page, but just didn't have enough time. So I opted for these flowers. This color palette and this idea of dotted pattern on them I all took from a reference picture, so not very creative, but I tried to do different colors for the leaves so it will look more interesting, and it wasn't defined with the background, so I just use these initial lines, and I think that actually in such a way it looks more balanced when I added this frame and this watercolor background behind the flowers. For me, botanical coloring it's very relaxing when I don't need to think about main colors. I can use reference pictures just to find matching colors of pencils, and then I can simply enjoy the process. In April, for Color Along Color with Ukraine, I needed to do picture with birds, and I of course thought about aviary, Mythographic aviary by Joseph Kattenbank. Before I had only one page here, which I also did for the same Color Along 1 year ago, and it was this cosmic bird. After that I hadn't touched it. In April I did this magical phoenix and his treasures. I don't know why, but I initially knew this color combo for the background which I wanted to use. So I did it, and only then I realized that actually it's very active, very demanding background, and it won't be very easy to select colors for the rest of the elements. I'm glad that I managed to do very decent page from it. When I did the bird, the phoenix, I was happy, but task was even more complicated because in the bottom part I still had a lot of golden elements and also these wooden things. Only when I decided to add this muted turquoise everywhere or cobalt green colors, it really helped to add this additional final accent, and the whole page started to shine much better. Really challenging but nice work. In the end I even masked elements which I didn't want. Here it was huge amount of coins. I decided that it's only distracting, so I selected several which I colored. The rest I simply masked with alcohol marker, and I think that it was a right decision. Sometimes too many details, it's just distracting from the main image. And the second, I have my toucan. Oh well, with this one I had small struggle, because I really enjoyed doing the central part, to color toucan and to show all the interesting color accents on feathers, on the beak, on various parts of the body. It was a huge pleasure. I quickly did the background, wanted to show this tropical atmosphere, so very vibrant green, vibrant turquoise blue colors for water, and then total stop, because I realized that I'm absolutely not interested in doing the background or huge amount of leaves. I'm happy that I finally finished it, but it was like you finished all the fun and you do the mechanical job, because of course you don't want to abandon it, but it was difficult to find creative color combos for greenery, and I honestly must say that I don't enjoy working with polychromos on this paper. I don't know why. I thought like this paper, even if it's very smooth, it's great for polychromos, but I have similar feelings from several pictures. I remember that I struggled with polychromos in Mythographic Voyage. I thought that maybe I just had a bad day, but here I had again similar feeling, like paper is maybe too smooth and some of the colors, not all of them, but some of the colors don't look as vibrant and blend as well as polychromos usually do. So for me it was also very confusing, because I thought like polychromos are great on almost all papers. Definitely for my next mythographic projects I will return to my favorite technique, to do maybe watercolor backgrounds, and maybe I will return to Prismacolors. I don't have yet any particular ideas which book from Mythographic series I will use next. I have some of the ideas about Cosmic Spirit, and I want to start coloring the Odyssey, but I need a couple of days of break after I finish that toucan. I'm pleased with the result, but final moments when I finish this huge amount of leaves, well, definitely it means that I need to do a short break from Mythographic. Now I will show you my favorite works for this month. The first of them, it's a picture by Christine Karen. That's her first book published by Blue Angel Publishing. Honestly, I prefer second and third book, but this one is also lovely. My only problem with this one, because it was so popular and so many people already colored in it, that I colored it with my eyes even before I started to do something here by myself. But fortunately, for the page which I didn't saw many finished pictures. I think that I only saw the work by Christine Karen herself, but she usually uses watercolor. I definitely don't have such skills, so I prefer to use Prismacolor pencils. And I continue my experiments. In March, I did a girl with blue skin. Now I have a girl with green skin. Thanks to the great paper and thanks to the combo of various pencil brands, because sometimes I prefer to do shading with polychromos than to put main image with Prismacolor. Softer and harder pencils together and pre-shading by the artist, it really helps me to do nice portraits. So here I am very happy with all of the elements, from her green skin to her red hair. Very lovely, very spirited girl. That's why it's one of my favorite works. I did 2 works in Alliance Vault. The first one, it's this monster. Well, that was also a page where in the process I was so overwhelmed by the details that in the end I barely managed to finish it. You will laugh, but in the end I had to color only this tiny creature and several elements, and I wasn't able to touch it for weeks. I finished it, but it's good, but my favorite is another work. This one I also did with some polychromos pencils, some Prismacolor pencils, but mostly polychromos. For my second work, I decided to use more wide variety of art supplies. So for the background, I used Neocolors. I just lost the work. This one. It made me absolutely happy when I finished it. I can't say that it was the easiest coloring because I decided to do this watercolor, this Neocolor sky. It was okay, but then I decided that I need to add depths and color accents. So mostly it's a layer of Neocolors and then a layer of Prismacolors for additional shadows, for depths. But when I finished the sky, I realized that it will be a success, because the rest, it was easy. I do love this creature. You know that I love to color fur, especially when you don't need to copy something real, like fur of cat, which is extremely difficult, because cats, they have so many colors blended in fur that sometimes it can be challenging. But when you color something in fantasy style, you can actually relax. So I really enjoyed doing this creature. Then I had a lot of fun inventing various color combos, so the landscape behind looks a lion with unusual colors like this lemon yellow or addition of lilac everywhere, but at the same time I wanted to maintain this frozen atmosphere. Of course, I added a lot of white paint to mask many lines and to sprinkle on top to create impression of the falling snow. And I also think that several vibrant elements like her icy spare or those a necklace from icy gemstones, it really helped to attract attention to the central part. But the background, that's where I'm proud of myself. Very happy, really very happy with this one. Somehow it returned me the pleasure of coloring in this book, because after the first one I was really tired, overwhelmed, and I wanted to make a break. But this one definitely reminded me that I can color in this book, and if I use more art supplies together, maybe next time I will use Inktense and pencils, I can get better and quicker results. Here Neocolors really helped me. I do love this sky. Okay, so that's were my April results. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you loved my pictures.